Have you ever daydreamed what activity you could do that would remove all joy from your life?
I think I know what it is. I think I know. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Call on me. Call on me.
Yes?
Is it cutting out caffeine or my morning coffee?
Yes.
Oh,
That is
God.
correct.
You're the worst.
Well, guess what, folks? Today, that's actually what we're going to talk about. Reducing your caffeine intake. Please, please, please keep listening.
So, Zach, I'm going through a bit of a breakup, man. My heart's breaking.
No.
Yeah.
What happened?
I always said that if the doctor told me one day, listen, it's your coffee or your life, then I was going to say, I'm sorry, my life will have to go because I can't live without my coffee. But I am slowly backing off of my deep, deep dependence on caffeine.
Well, that sounds like a horrible way to
It's
live.
a painful way to live. I used to drink coffee all day, every day, didn't matter what time, and I could still go to sleep. And I thought, oh, I'm just one of those people. I can just live on this stuff. No big deal. And we talked, of course, on the show already about how I was doing that and every day felt miserable, felt like crap all the time. And then when I did finally talk to a fitness coach, he said, you might want to cut back. And so I did. And as he was right. I felt better, more stable energy all day. Was able to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do all the stuff I needed to do, whatever. But I still was having my 2 cups of coffee. And along the way, I started just noticing that there was, especially like in the mid morning. So I've had the coffee, it's been a couple of hours. There would just be this like current running through my body. It just felt like I was plugged into a charger of some kind. And I felt like, oh, cool. I'm all revved up. I can get things done. I can focus on my work or whatever. But then like it started messing with my anxiety, which has been on high alert. And I just felt like it was really just throwing gas on that fire. And so I just thought, you and I had a brief conversation about this. I had a conversation with some other people about their caffeine habits, and everybody seemed to be on this trend of cutting back. And I was like, well, maybe I can cut back further. Maybe I'll take my 2 cups, but I'll go down to half decaf. And I've been doing that, and I'm noticing that like it feels like the anxiety's calming down a little bit. That current, that charge isn't there. I do like, even though I'm maybe not as driven to like get stuff done really, really fast, I'm a little more focused and more balanced throughout the day. And so, I don't know. I may go all the way decaf. I may cut it out completely because so far that's been the result, is that I kind of feel better.
Interesting. I have recently cut my caffeine down quite a bit as well, just because again, anxiety, like jittery, like I was just drinking too much. Like I would have far too many cups in the morning, and now I'm down to like 1.5 cups, sometimes 2. And it's making a huge difference in my anxiety. And like, again, my energy level throughout the day is a little bit more solid and stable. The jittery hands have disappeared, but man, I am still like, I just get pissed, so mad when I take that last sip of coffee in the morning, because I got to wait 23 hours to drink another cup of coffee.
I know. I've been saying forever that I feel like, starting my day with a cup of coffee, like coffee was the one thing I was getting right every day. And so now that I'm like, oh, now I got to screw with that and mess with the formula. I feel like it's just anything's possible now. Like nothing could go right if I can't get that one thing to happen the way I want it to.
There is something to it though. Like caffeine is a drug, just like anything else that you put in your body is a drug because it reacts with your body, and caffeine can have a different reaction. Like I also have like stomach issues, and when I drink coffee on an empty stomach, like I get heartburn. And I don't know why I've put myself through this pain for so many years. I know it causes me anxiety. I know it gives me indigestion. I know it gives me heartburn. I know it makes me jittery. I know it causes all these negative things, but the dopamine rush in the moment is just so powerful.
It tastes so good. And I hear everyone right now going, just drink decaf, Tommy, but you don't understand. That's just been an unacceptable option for me for my entire life.
Coming from the guy who stopped drinking 7 years ago and drinks non-alcoholic beer now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around it. What a foreign concept. It makes no sense to me.
Good excuse.
But it was interesting. I saw a clip from author Michael Pollan, who has written a bunch of incredible books about, psilocybin and different things. But he was asked, I think it was on Joe Rogan's podcast, he was asked about the craziest drug he'd ever taken or something. And I think he said, after 3 months of not having caffeine, when I had caffeine, that was the craziest thing, the way that it messed with me. So I'm curious if I can push myself to go fully decaf and do that experiment of 3 months without, to see how different I feel when I do have a full cup of coffee.
I know there's a guy at the gym that I go to that caffeine just hits him differently. And on days that he's had caffeine, like in his pre-workout or something like that, like you can tell there's like an energy, and the volume of his voice is louder and he's talking faster. And I look at that and I'm just like, so I go from like lethargic to barely awake with my coffee.
Right.
Right. Like I would love to be able to drink a cup of coffee and go to like Speedy Gonzalez level.
Right.
I mean, that's crazy.
It's a hell of a pre-workout when you use it that way.
It is. Yeah, I'm definitely not as sensitive to caffeine as going without it for 3 months would make me. But I don't know. Like I remember quitting smoking cigarettes, and like I got sad when I thought that I would never smoke again. And even just the thought of going without coffee for 3 months or without caffeine for 3 months, I mean, there's tears welling up in my eyes right now.
It's a heartbreaking breakup.
Mm-hmm. But for the listeners, I'm going to give this a shot too. Actually, while I was in Disney last week, I got a small cup of coffee. And then when I went back for my second, I actually heard your voice in my head and I filled it halfway with regular and halfway with decaf.
Really?
And then walked back to my room really sad.
In tears. Yeah, I know the feeling well now.
I was in the happiest place on earth. Sad. Thank you, jerk.
Glad I could help.
But I'm with you. Like I actually want to try bringing this down even further myself, because my sleep actually hasn't been very great lately. And while I drink all of my caffeine before 7 o'clock in the morning, most people know I go to bed at like 7:30 at night. Mm-hmm. So, there could still be caffeine in my system. And I know for me, I would love to find out whether or not it improves my sleep. But it definitely impacts your sleep if you're drinking caffeine too late in the day.
Yeah.
Like it'll keep you awake, or you'll be able to fall asleep, but you're not going to be able to get all the sleep cycles that you need for the night. So if you don't want to cut caffeine out, at the very least, like don't drink it past 10 a.m.
Yeah.
To be really, really safe.
A 12-hour window is generally pretty safe to have it not impact your sleep too much. And also, I think the reason that you and I are both driven to do this the most is because it can have a big impact on your anxiety. And, you talked about that jitteriness. I don't know that I've gotten that, but just, again, that sort of electric charge, just feeling like my mind is out of control. I'm noticing that coming down. So that's a great reason too, if you're considering cutting back, is just to cut back on the anxiety as well.
Yeah, I think that actually has helped me out quite a bit. Because, again, I run a little anxious, just a little. And just cutting back what I have cut back has made a huge difference. And then one more thing, I remember years ago when I tried to go cold turkey and quit coffee, and I was drinking like 4 Venti Pike Place roast Starbucks a day. And I went cold turkey and had heart palpitations the next day. I also had a wicked headache from caffeine withdrawal. So we all know about the headache that you get when you're coming off of caffeine. But the flip side is also true. Like frequent caffeine can actually give you headaches. So reducing it, don't cut it off completely just yet. Reducing it can actually lower your headaches and migraines.
Which I think I've noticed already, because I did sort of battle every couple of days, just like a low grade thing and, not take a Tylenol or whatever. And I don't like doing that either, but that was how I was managing it. So if I can avoid that by cutting out coffee, there's one more good reason to cut it back.
Are you sure you didn't just have a low-grade headache because you hadn't watched Star Wars that day?
It might be. I was behind on Ahsoka, but I'm all cut up now, so I'm feeling much better.
Good.
All right, well, I've got to go get another cup of coffee, so we're going to wrap this up. Thank you so much for listening. You can subscribe to our newsletter at our website in the show notes for this episode. That is thefitmess.com, and that's where we'll be back in just a few days with a brand new episode. Thanks for listening.
See you, everyone.